Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to preview some of the May releases that I am most excited about. So I do this video every month. You don't need me to really explain it. I hope it's not loud because I live upstairs from like this big beer garden and it gets noisy in the summer, but hopefully it's fine. So yeah, these are 8 books that I am super excited about, and hopefully you will find something on here to pre-order or something that at least piques your interest. I did leave off a few books that I am excited about only because I have talked about them in other videos, like my TBR for April and just other past videos. There's one that I put here because I feel like I can explain it better, but we'll get there. So buckle up and let's talk about May book releases. So the first book on this list is called The Hazelborn Ladies Motorcycle and Flying Club. This was written by Helen Simonson and it comes out on May 7th. So this is one I did not hear of before I went looking for books to put on this list, and now I'm like obsessed and I cannot wait to get my hands on a copy. So here is the synopsis. It is the summer of 1919 and Constance Haverhill is without prospects. Now that all the men have returned from the front, she has been asked to give up her cottage and her job at the estate she helped run during the war. While she looks for a position as a bookkeeper, or horror, a governess, she is sent as a lady's companion to an old family friend who is convalescing at a seaside hotel. Despite having only weeks to find a permanent home, Constance is swept up in the social whirl of Hazelborn-on-Sea after she rescues the local baronet's daughter, Poppy Whirl, from a social faux pas. Poppy wears trousers, operates a taxi and delivery service to employ local women, and runs a ladies' motorcycle club, to which she plans to add flying lessons. She and her friends enthusiastically welcome Constance into their circle. And then there is Harris, Poppy's recalcitrant but handsome brother, a fighter pilot recently wounded in battle, who warms in Constance's presence. But things are more complicated than they seem in this sunny pocket of English high society. As the country prepares to celebrate its hard-won peace, Constance and the women of the club are forced to confront the fact that the freedoms they gained during the war are being revoked. So, very feminist, historical fiction. It just sounds like this is going to be a group of characters that I really gravitate towards and like I really, really love. So this is just definitely a book that I'm looking forward to reading, and I think it's going to be a good one. Definitely a different premise than I've ever read in historical fiction, and I'm excited to see how it goes. The next book also comes out on May 7th, and this is The Ministry of Time by Kayleigh Bradley. So in addition to learning how to pronounce this author's name, I also found a synopsis that I think is a little more better at explaining what this is about, because if you watched my TBR video, I talked about this book because I'm excited to read it in April, but I was just like, I don't know what this is about or how to describe what I think this is about. So I'm just gonna let the author slash publisher tell you what it's about, because this is a different description that is in the inside cover. In the near future, a civil servant is offered the salary of her dreams and is shortly afterward told what project she'll be working on. A recently established government ministry is gathering expats from across history to establish whether time travel is feasible, for the body but also for the fabric of space and time. She is tasked with working as a bridge, living with, assisting, and monitoring the expat known as 1847, or Commander Graham Gore. As far as history is concerned, Commander Gore died on Sir John Franklin's doomed 1845 expedition to the Arctic, so he's a little disoriented to be living with an unmarried woman who regularly shows her calves, surrounded by outlandish concepts such as washing machine, Spotify, and the collapse of the British Empire. But he adjusts quickly. He is, after all, an explorer by trade. Soon, what the bridge initially thought would be, at best, a seriously uncomfortable housemate dynamic evolves into something much more. Over the course of an unprecedented year, Gore and the bridge fall haphazardly, fervently in love, with consequences they never could have imagined. So, it sounds like it's going to be really funny, a little bit sci-fi, a little bit comedy, and a little bit romance, maybe? So, That was a much better description. And yeah, I hope that if you are into those things, you check this out because, like, I definitely will be. And I'm looking forward to reporting back and letting you know how it goes. The next book on this list is out May 14th, and that is called Oye by Melissa McGolan. This is one that I got in NetGalley Archive. And as soon as I heard the title, I was like, yes. So I am not Hispanic in any way, but my husband is half Cuban, half Panamanian. So a lot of the Spanish kind of like lingo I have incorporated into my life at this point. And so we are always yelling oye, oyeme around to each other, especially around his family. So that's the title of this book. And yeah, so I was like, cool, gotta read it. So this is one that I have started and then I like put down, but not for any reason other than I was just like not focusing on it very well. And I didn't want to get too far into it without focusing because then it's harder to go back to it. Anyways, here is the little synopsis. As the baby of her large Colombian-American family, Luciana is usually relegated to the sidelines, but now she finds herself as the only voice of reason in the face of an unexpected crisis. A hurricane headed straight for Miami, and her eccentric grandmother, Abue, is refusing to evacuate. Abue is so one of a kind, she's basically in her own universe. And while she often drives Luciana nuts, they're the only ones who truly understand each other. So when Abue, normally glamorous and full of life, receives a shocking mental diagnosis during the storm, Luciana's world is upended. This is written in a really cool way. So it's basically written as like a one-sided telephone conversation, which is a little bit jarring at first, which, you know, was one of the reasons I was like, I can't concentrate on this right now. I need to come back to it because you're only getting one side of this conversation with her sister who is off at college. And so, you know, it's something that I'm sure is going to take a little bit of getting used to, but at the end of the day is like a really unique way to tell a story. So I think that's going to be really good. And as a Floridian who has experienced many hurricanes, I think that's going to be an interesting perspective, like for me. The next book is You Like It Darker by Stephen King. This comes out on May 21st. What can I say? This is a short story collection. I will read anything this man writes for the most part, and I think this will be something I love as well. So these are just, you know, some of the little bits of the short stories. Two Talented Bastides explores the long-hidden secret of how the eponymous gentlemen got their skills. In Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream, a brief, unprecedented psychic flash upends dozens of lives, Danny's most catastrophically. In Rattlesnakes, a sequel to Cujo, a widower travels to Florida for respite and instead receives an unexpected inheritance with major strings attached. In The Dreamers, a taciturn Vietnam vet answers a job ad and learns that there are some corners of the universe best left unexplored. The Answer Man asks if prescience is good luck or bad and reminds us that a life marked by unbearable tragedy can still be meaningful. I feel like there's like 4 words in that paragraph that I just read that I pronounced wrong, so please ignore that and just pretend I did it right. It doesn't really matter what any of these were about. I was going to read this anyways, so if you're a Stephen King fan, I'm sure you've probably already pre-ordered this, but it's coming out in case you didn't know. May 21st is going to be like the best day ever for me. I'm going to need to like block off the rest of the week because there are 3 books that I'm just like dying for, and obviously that was one of them. The next is Nearlywed by Nicholas DiDomizio. I have loved everything this man has written. They are all hilarious, like laugh out loud funny. I actually started reading this morning. I read like 2 chapters. I have an advanced copy and I was already laughing out loud. Like, I don't know any other author that so consistently makes me laugh. So here is the here's the synopsis for this one. Ray Bruno and Kip Hayes are horrible on paper. Ray is a chaotic millennial ex-clickbait writer who's been oversharing his every thought online since he was a teenager. And Kip is a pragmatic Gen X doctor who values privacy above all else. But somehow it all manages to work, until Ray convinces Kip to join him for an early honeymoon at a famous luxe resort in Ray's coastal New England hometown, eschewing the tradition of bachelor parties and hoping to recharge before their end-of-August wedding. When a surprising encounter with another couple at the resort leads to a series of escalating mishaps and miscommunications, Ray and Kip are forced to look at their many differences in a stark new light, turning the trip into less of a vacation and more of a test. Will they be able to work through their issues in time for the big day, or is this marriage over before it begins? So, I mean, just the way he tells stories is really funny. And I think that this is going to be like really a fun take on romance because I do enjoy stories where like a couple's already together and they're kind of having to like withstand like tests of their relationship. So I do think that that will be something that I'm excited for. And like I said, I just started reading it and I think that I'm going to get through it really quick and can't wait. And the other one that I'm like crazy excited for on May 21st is The Gunkle Abroad by Stephen Rowley. So I read The Gunkle a few years ago and loved it so much. I don't know anyone that didn't like that book. And so this is a sequel, obviously. And I think that for May, I'm going to read The Gunkle as my like May reread to get ready for this. So that will be fun and hopefully you will be excited to watch it. So this says, Patrick O'Hara is back. It's been 5 years since his summer as his niece Maisie and nephew Grant's caretaker after their mother's passing. The kids are back in Connecticut with their dad, and Patrick has relocated to New York to remain close by and relaunch his dormant acting career. After the run of his second successful sitcom comes to a close, Patrick feels on top of the world, professionally, but some things have had to take a back seat. Looking down both barrels at 50, Patrick is single again after breaking things off with Emery, but at least he has a family to lean on, until that family needs to again lean on him. When Patrick's brother Greg announces he's getting remarried in Italy, Maisie and Grant are not thrilled. Patrick feels drawn to take the two back under his wing. As they travel through Europe on their way to the wedding, Patrick tries his best to help them understand love, much as he once helped them comprehend grief. But when they arrive in Italy, Patrick is overextended managing a groom with cold feet, his sister Clara flirting with guests left and right, a growing rivalry with the kids' charming, soon-to-be lesbian aunt, and two moody young teens trying to adjust to a new normal, all culminating in a disastrous rehearsal dinner. Sounds like a blast. I mean, I just love these characters, and I feel like this is just going to be a fun time. I mean, we already know the characters are fantastic, and the story writing is fantastic, so how could we go wrong? Yet another one that comes out May 21st. I am excited about this, but not to the extent of the other three. The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. This, again, yes, comes out May 21st. So this is, I think, like kind of a horror book. Maybe it's sort of mystery-esque. I'm not 100%, but sounds really good. Outside the island, there is nothing. The world was destroyed by a fog that swept the planet, killing anyone it touched. On the island, it is idyllic. 122 villagers and 3 scientists living in peaceful harmony. The villagers are content to fish, farm, and feast, to obey their nightly curfew, to do what they're told by the scientists. Until, to the horror of the islanders, one of their beloved scientists is found brutally stabbed to death. And then they learn that the murder has triggered a lowering of the security system around the island, the only thing that was keeping the fog at bay. If the murder isn't solved within 107 hours, the fog will smother the island and everyone on it. But the security system has also wiped everyone's memories of exactly what happened the night before, which means that someone on the island is a murderer and they don't even know it. And the clock is ticking. So, very ominous and yeah, sounds like it could be a pretty twisty, thrilling time. I love like a survival story, so that will be a book to definitely look forward to. And the last one on this list is called Housemates by Emma Copley Eisenberg. This comes out on May 28th. So this is one that I immediately was drawn to because it is set in Philadelphia and I just can't resist a good Philly book. So it says, when Bernie replies to Leah's ad for a new housemate in Philadelphia, the two begin an intense and defiantly uncategorizable friendship based on a mutual belief in their art and one another. Both aspire to capture the world around them, Leah through her writing, Bernie through her photography. After Bernie's former photography professor, the renowned yet tarnished Daniel Dunn, dies and leaves her a complicated inheritance, Leah volunteers to accompany Bernie to his home in rural Pennsylvania, turning the jaunt into a road trip with an ambitious mission to document America through words and photographs. What ensues is a 3-week journey into the heart of the nation, bringing the artists into conversation with people from all walks of life, the absurd dreamers and failures of this wide, wide country, as they try to make sense of the times they are living in. Along the way, Leah and Bernie discover what it means to pursue their own ideas and dreams and to embrace what they are capable of, both romantically and artistically. So I think that sounds really good. I'm not 100% sure on like the tone of this, if it is a little more like literary and kind of serious, or if this is more of a like just casual contemporary fiction that's a little more like lighthearted. But I think either way, it's definitely a book up my alley. And again, like set in Philly, so I'm sold on that. 2 books that I had mentioned in previous videos, but I want to throw out there again, are The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren, which comes out on May 14th, and The Return of Ellie Black by Emiko Jean, that comes out on May 7th. I read that one last month, and you can go ahead and watch my wrap up for the month of March if you want to know more about it and what my thoughts were. So those are some of the May 2024 releases that I am really looking forward to. If you are looking forward to any of these, please let me know. If there's anything that you are looking forward to that I missed, would love to know about that as well. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!